At some 33 minutes after 6, if you're just joining us, you're welcome to the AM show here on Joy News. Except that you missed the beginning of our show and the news. But we've got the newspaper, so we will fill you in what you've lost so far. So essentially, you've lost nothing. You're welcome to our show.
Yeah, thank you. You look good on air. I think this camera is good for you.
Wait, hang on. I don't look good in person, but I look good on air. Is that what you're saying?
No, you look good in person. I mean, better.
So say you look good.
Okay. I think I look nice too.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, do you have some challenges? You need help?
No. I need to boost my morale.
I can start recruiting right now.
You know, I've spent all my salary, so I need to boost my morale.
Also, you're dry. What's today's date again? You have a long way to go. Sorry for you.
And today is just the 12th.
I can buy you breakfast at least.
It's a serious distance.
Let's do the Daily Graphic newspaper.
Yeah.
Front page is this issue that's gotten a lot of people talking, really. A lot of us also reflecting. A lot of us thinking ahead. It could be you. It could be me. It could be any loved one someday. On the front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper, 7 hospitals refuse care for man 70 dies in car. Ghana Health Service, not surprising at all, sets up committee to investigate, because we're really good at that. You know, it happens and we quickly pretend to be doing something, and I think the easiest we do, it comes so easy to us, is to set up a committee, a so-called committee, to do some investigation.
When it involves a politician, or a politician's reputation will be ruined. This one, no politician will have his reputation hanging in the balance. So no committee. I'm telling you.
We pretend, and I think what's I don't want to say anger, because anger is too strong. I think what I really don't understand as a citizen of Ghana is the fact that we even pretend that. And it's either we don't know that there was a directive that was issued in the past that no matter what, if it's like a makeshift bed that you can do just to stabilize the patient.
Was there that directive?
Do it, yes.
Or it was just a commentary that was made?
I know that there was, because, you know, and I always, my reference point is Mrs. Linda Vanuatu, the former Greater Accra Regional Health Director, you know, and that was one of the, because she was really a regular here on our show. And you remember the cholera outbreak?
Yeah.
There was provision for makeshift beds. I remember that the General Hospital vividly, where there was a tent, and you know, and so this was a conversation that was there. Never turn any patient away. Try and do something. And even the police hospital, I'm surprised that they turn this patient away, because the police hospital is also one of those facilities that talks about the fact that they make do. They will try and make some kind of provision and take care of the patient. And they will say, if you visit our facilities, there are people lying down on benches, people sitting in stretchers, and we're still, you know, in the wheelchairs, and we're still taking care of them. So essentially, Roland, what I'm trying to say is that you don't even need a committee to investigate. You already have a certain directive. What it means is that people are flouting those rules that you have already. So what you need to do is to bite. You don't. What are you going to investigate?
Well, but we can bite. But the reality is that many of the medical officers, whether they are medical doctors or nurses, are really working under some level of constraint. And I feel, based on my experiences and relation with some of these people, that sometimes it's their way of protesting, and they're hoping that maybe perhaps the powers that be, or those that are managing the government institutions responsible for the sector, will look at this and take some action. Just within the period of the week, I was one of the referral hospitals. It's supposed to be either a metropolitan hospital or one of those. And if you look at the way even the beds were together, you can even contract one disease from another patient who is in a critical condition. And so we have to realize that the medical officers and nurses and other health or paramedical professionals are working under very difficult circumstances. The thing too is that they need to balance it with the human face. But what do you do when the medical person is stressed and is really under bad conditions? I think that sometimes we have to strike a certain balance when we're doing the discussion.
Yeah, I agree with you. I get it. It's just that, you see, a life lost cannot be regained. You know, you can't.
That's the point.
Yeah,
and in this scenario, you could see that the narration from the relatives, the wife, etc., was one of helplessness.
Yeah.
Even though they thought that from the very onset something could have been done to save. And indeed, if it was maybe even the West or somewhere, just the semi-developed country, they could have done something better.
The reality is that people die. We all will die someday. Even when a facility is taking care of you, you could die. But what generally we expect is make an effort. Do you get it?
Or perhaps let a person die from something that is non-preventable. But this is pure preventable situation.
You know, like, admit the person, try to stabilize the person or help the person out and let the person die. Then we know that you tried to save a life, but unfortunately we lost the life. But to just turn the person, and if you read through details, it would give you the facilities visited. So first they went to a clinic in Adabraka. It's called CNJ Medicare, where they said after a brief assessment, a nurse recommended that he needed to be hospitalized, but said the hospital could not cater for him. So from CNJ, they went to Kolebu Polyclinic, the Rich Hospital, the Police Hospital, the Trust Hospital, the Lab Polyclinic, before finally arriving at the Lekma Hospital at Teshi, where he died. And the narration is one which is unbelievable. And I keep making reference to the fact that there was a beautiful lady in studio not too long ago here on the AM show who had come down from the UK and brought some friends along, and you know, they were trying to help out really, and their concentration was mental health. I remember, because they did quite a few things with the facility in the central region in Cape Coast, and they were launching. So the lady's mother was supposed to help out, and that's why she also came down from the UK. But she had an attack, and 2 facilities said no bed, no bed. She died on the way to a 3rd facility. So this is
a lady who is a medical person, let's say, works as a nurse, I'm told.
Exactly.
In the UK.
As a psychiatric nurse in the UK. And I pray to God that they come back, because, you know, you never want anything like that. And then she said, listen, my mother lives in the UK. All we needed was to just stabilize her so that we could fly her back. And then, yeah. But when things like this happen, you can't say anything, because even those of us in Ghana, we experience it, we live it with it, you know. So
it's because we're accustomed to it. So, but the thing is that somebody should not die from a death which is relatedly needless. That something could have done.
But you know, Roland,
that
like
something could have been done to prevent that.
I listened to the narration again yesterday, and I feel like let's visit all these facilities again, because so for instance, was it Lekma or one of the facilities where they said there was a doctor sleeping in a certain vehicle outside, and they called the doctor's attention, and the doctor said, there's nothing I can do. Like, I feel that maybe there's another reason. There's something.
Well, that's the reason. Those are the reasons, and you could hear it from the relatives themselves. There's nothing else to it, and that's a reality.
Oh, let's run through the rest of the stories on the front page of the Daily Graphic real quick. GFA offices remain sealed, and you've heard by now that it is a crime scene. The police still say that they have an interest in that facility. As part of their investigations, there are things in there that could assist them in uncovering things, brought out in the Anas documentary. So until you have their permission, that place is a no-go area, even if you work there. But telcos yet to connect to common platform. The deadline, I think, was yesterday. Story says mobile network operators are yet to comply with the ultimatum given to them by the Ministry of Communications to connect physically to a common platform meant to independently monitor their international and domestic voice and data traffic volumes, revenue and mobile money transactions. The Ministry of Communications Esla Owusu-Ekofo, while briefing Parliament a couple of weeks ago on a contract awarded to Kelny GVG, a private company, to monitor coal traffic, had said that the deadline for final connection was June 11, 2018. Failure or refusal by the MNOs to do so, according to the minister, would result in the imposition of specified sanction. So I guess what we're waiting for, Madam Minister, is for you to bite. You had threatened, so we're waiting to see what action you move on to next. But remember that 2 persons are in courts trying to get an injunction placed on this real-time coal monitoring. So we keep an eye there as well. Parliament is back today. The Minister of Communication is also a member of Parliament. So we will see if she says something, in connection to the center spread of the Daily Graphic. Contractors, others not on PPA supplier database can't bid for government projects. Story by my good friend and mate Sebastian Siam in Accra says henceforth suppliers, contractors and consultants who are not registered on the newly created centralized supplier database of the Public Procurement Authority will be disqualified from bidding for government contracts. You can read on is in the center spread of the paper. Finally, we do the back page of the Daily Graphic. MOFA, that's the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, presents 216 pickups to districts' agric directorates. And agric policies must not exclude youth and women. And the government has been advised to ensure that its agricultural policies would not make women and young people suffer any form of inequality and exclusion. That's on the back page on the paper, Roland.
Well, so we have to move on. Go to the Ghanaian Times. On the front page of the Ghanaian Times, so we have 4 military galamseyers in court sacked, another demoted from corporal to private for engaging in illegal activities in Wasai Kropo. And Mamavi, these are supposed to be the ones guarding the illegal places, and they themselves just couldn't keep their eyes off the shiny, glittering powder that they were finding from the pits.
It's a powerful temptation. So I had the privilege of hearing from a minister's experience.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? And then he said, Mama, we imagine like gold like this. Do you know how much that is worth? So somebody comes to your office and they try to give you that so you can allow them. And for a public official to look at that
and say no,
and the value of that and say no, you need somebody with integrity to occupy such offices. We've got quite a number of offices overseeing the sector alone. Yeah. And we pray to God that they will be able to withstand the temptation.
Yeah, that's a pro and nas crusader right there. Well, and the story is on page 16, Mama Vin. It's quite interesting. We have the published pictures of the soldiers, Lance Corporal S. Boateng, Corporal P.A. Nkua, Corporal S.B. Owu. We have Corporal S. Mensa and Lance Corporal S. Obing. And we're told that the 4 soldiers with the Operation Vanguard Task Force had been sentenced to 90 days detention by the Ghana Armed Forces for engaging in illegal mining. And another soldier, Corporal S. Mensa, who committed the same offense, has been sentenced to 60 days detention and a reduction in rank from corporal to private.
Also, when they finish serving, they would still be in the army?
Yeah, no, I think 4 of them have been sacked and 1 has been demoted. So it means he still remains in the army. And they were tried and sanctioned by a disciplinary board in accordance with the Ghana Armed Forces rules and regulations. After they were arrested, this one from the prying eyes of the public, now bringing it to the public. They've done everything already. It's not the civil this thing that will go and waste time. Rule of law, we'll go and take lawyers, we'll go and argue for you. Did you see him there and all that? Charlie, they do their thing. Engaging in illegal activities in the Wasai Kropong area on May 30. 2018, and this is coming from a statement issued by Colonel E. Agrikwashi, the Director, Public Relations of the Ghana Armed Forces, and copying the Ghanaian Times according to this paper. And he says the Military High Command, again, is wishing to assure the general public that under no circumstance will it condone any unprofessional conduct by a member of his own, that's the Ghana Armed Forces. We're told that the National Identification Authority failed to carry out the Ghana card registration in Parliament. What we don't know is if it's is as a result of the NDC minority boycott of the exercise or not, because according to this story, the NIA has for the second time failed to carry out its registration exercise in Parliament, and we know that the legislature is one of the aforementioned bodies to benefit from the first phase of the exercise. We're told that those of us at the periphery will be enjoying very soon. I'm sure media houses and all before it comes to the general public. The authority was scheduled to register the Speaker of Parliament, members of the entire legislature. But even though the tables had been set by representatives or workers of Parliament, they just never showed up. And then the story veers into all the statements issued by Harun Idrisu, who is the leader of the minority in Parliament, to say that they were or protesting some issues. Government will tackle bad roads, and this is a story source to the president, who had been visiting some areas in the Western region. Greater Accra Regional Coordinated Council, private businesses to undertake projects. And we're told all this. But on the front page, we also have psychiatric doctor shortage apparently is hitting the Upper East region. And that story is on page 18 of the paper, The Ghanaian Times. But let me quickly just do the daily guide before we move on. NDC minister grabs $3 million mansion, says Rawlings. And this is a story couch from the June 4 speech of the former president, saying that there was a former NDC official who paid $3 million in cash for two separate houses, 1.5 for each, one for the wife, one for, that's what he alleges. Just didn't name the person, and the story also indicates so. You can find the story on page 3 of the paper. Yoko probes Gifty Clenham, that's the Ghana Export Promotion Authority boss. And we know that
former.
Okay, she was interviewed by Kojo Yankson.
She now has a letter.
We played back that interview for you. Minority rejects Ghana card. You go to the center spread. Nanama McBrown begs an ass, and we have stories. Patapaa gets accolades over Ghana meets Niger, and he was on fire during that event. We have other stories as well. The center spread. The news one pull out of the daily guide. Kumchacha searches for 200 virgins, and I doubted I would ever sing again. Shakira had to go through some medical treatment to restore his vocal cord, her vocal cords, so to speak. And those are the stories all on the center spread. All
right, the Finder newspaper, front page of the Finder today. Reverse nation's poor development. President charges governing boards of 3 developmental authorities and Zongo Fund. The Ministry of Food and Agriculture gets 216 pickups to solve transportation challenges. PPA launches database portal to win back public confidence. Oil and gas experts caution government against building more refineries. And Ghana shippers pay $76 million as demurrage and rents. Okay, so these are front page headlines. Find that newspaper. I think we can go online now or do some of your messages and then quickly go on to myjoyonline.com. This one says, in fact, after this stinking and NAS number 12 expose, I am waiting patiently to see if some lazy researchers will, as usual, put Ghana Police Service at the #1 spot when the corruption index comes out this year. It's from Christopher Kweli in Sunyai. And I'm tempted to think that Christopher is a police officer. Who is refusing to be the #1. Like you're refusing for your organization to occupy the #1 spots in the corruption perception index. We wait to see. This one says, we have become objects of ridicule since independence when it comes to proper road. We're taking it upon ourselves to embark on a peaceful demonstration to catch the attention of the current government. You'd be invited. I'm David from Sine West Districts. All right. This one says, those of us along the Eastern Corridor Road are still crying out to Nanado to help complete the road for us. We're suffering. It's coming from Raphael Efun v. Colinu. That's the person sending us this message. And this person says, a final one that will go online. Anas is doing great in his investigative piece, but I'm really against his mode of investigation where he televises the outcome to the Western world. My question is, don't we have excellent and equally fantastic investigative journalists in these Western world? And how many times do they televise the outcome of investigations on BBC, CNN, Al Jazeera, etc.? And you have a hashtag, let's stop disgracing African continent and protect our country from these evil intentions. Western world. It's from Blueprints in Escado. Ketan sending that message. Roland, let's do myjoyonline.com.
Yes, let's do myjoyonline.com. We have reporter slapped with 33,000 Ghana cedis in damages for defamation. Bolgatanga Magistrate Court, presided over by the judge named there, has slapped the fine on one Edward Adeti, the Upper East Regional Correspondent for Star FM, and you get more details there, what his crime was. We also have, as far as we're concerned, in Nkwanta South, residents threatened to hit the street over the lack of electricity, Mamavi. You have electricity?
Yes, yesterday the lights went out.
I'm told that once in a while the lights keep playing tricks.
If it just goes off, that's not even a problem, but it does, and it tries to come back, you know.
Oh, okay.
Doom so, like doom cry, doom. And then we know that some areas are having to experience that as well. But as usual, electricity company of Ghana, they wait for citizens to complain before, instead of, you know, telling us when things are happening, or if there's a certain situation, coming out to explain that, oh, this is what you would experience, or this is the challenges that we're having. Nothing. People have to phone in to television stations, radio stations, and complain for media people to chase electricity company before the PRO will come and tell us that these are the challenges. Charlie, we should go past that. Service providers, this is a different era. Learn to go with the times. We're tired of chasing you for answers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you know, Galka met yesterday. Galka is essentially an amalgamation of all the
Ghana League Clubs Association.
Exactly. And we're told, I mean, I'm hearing for the first time that they used to be really powerful. They used to, you know, command. But of course, as you know, the king stepped in, he silenced all of them. Charlie, am I a good storyteller?
Yeah, that's good. You're spicing it with your own sarcasm.
He shut them all up. He is powerful.
Yeah.
Well, but even the most powerful can sometimes be brought down like that, and that's what we've seen. But, you know, Galka essentially met yesterday, and they initially formed a 5-member committee, but there are some names in there that are not exactly cleared. So we saw later on that they collapsed the 5-member committee, set up the new 7-member committee. There are a few people in that committee that I know. For instance, my former boss, Wilson Arthur, is featured there. So
Wilson Arthur is there.
Wilson Arthur is there. You know, he has a football club.
Oh, okay.
Don't ask me. Yeah, what's there?
Sky SC.
Is it Sky?
Okay.
I know that he was interested in.
I know that was Power FC.
Is Power FC?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
Power FC.
I know that when I was in Takrady, he used to be either on the Wise
board
or something like that. He used to talk about them so much, but he has a football club. That's why he's a member of the, but he's also an MCE, but not in that capacity. He's amongst other people. I can just go through the list.
We have Kojo Fianu also.
So that's
available.
where the All-Star CEO...
The two who did not badge to collect the monies.
So the All-Star,
one a year.
All-Stars. Oh, but one All-Stars is owned by the king. You know that?
Yeah.
Okay. So the CEO says that Nyantachi is all right. He's busy at his law firm.
Okay.
So that's So you can read about what he had to say.
Challenges happen all the time. You just have to pick up the pieces and move on.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. So let's move on. But you know, that's committee. That's Georgia Friye, Kwekwe. Georgia Friye was the vice president who was sacked,
who was relieved of his position.
And then Wilson Arthur, there's Georgia Mwakun, there's Kujo Fianu, and then there's this Nana Sambriu Butler. And I think one more person that I probably missed. So GFA not dissolved still stands in Ghana's list of companies, according to the official liquid data. So we will see. Everything is unfolding like every day something happens. And then President Trump meets Kim Jong-un. When we go to the BBC, you see what is latest with this meeting. But let's move on. Ekufuado's West Indian Development Authority Zongo Development Fund boards. So that's where essentially he charged them to develop, to reverse the nation's poor development, essentially. Groundswell for campaign to end no bird syndrome at public hospitals is the talk that you hear officials, come out with. We've heard this when something grave happens, they'll come out and say something, and then nothing. So yeah, action. So Bozoma St. John allegedly leaving Uber for Endeavour. Roland, you remember her? She visited Ghana. Yeah. So we're told that she's left Uber. DVLA to collaborate with EPA, NPA for vehicle emission testing, and the National Science Maths Quiz from Comma to Conqueror, Super Sandema and short victory. And Edwin Appiah is our colleague on myjoyonline.com, who writes all the stories related to essentially to the National Science Maths Quiz, and he writes really well. It would be good to catch up with all his writings on myjoyonline.com, particularly related to the National Science and Maths Quiz. So a lot of the stories, if you can watch the updates on television, we're directing you from every corner, wherever you are, to just go on myjoyonline.com. Every day you get the updates of the National Science and Maths Quiz. We started the prelims just yesterday. We're continuing the whole of the week today. So updates everywhere online, and then, social media handles as well. So that's it for myjoyonline.com. Lots more stories on the page that you can check out. Just before we go, let's do the BBC, plus some of your messages. So this is the BBC, Roland Walker.
So we have the updates on Africa Live is the part of the page where it gives you the minute by minute or half hour by half hour updates on all the news trickling in from the continent. Uganda to ban hooded bikers to curb crime. Uganda's president announces new measure after an MP is assassinated and more. And this morning on the BBC was one of the talking points, and I'm sure is a big talking point in Uganda as well. Scientists shocked by Asian tree deaths. Many of the oldest and largest specimens of Africa's baobab tree have died over the past 12 years. Africa, we don't seem to like preserving what is unique usually to ourselves. So that's what happens usually. Spain to accept disputed migrant ship. They went from the coast of Italy to the Maltese coast. Now they're just hovering around the coast of Spain. Says Spain to accept disputed migrant ship. We know that they have on board approximately 660 migrants, mainly Africans.
They said Italy has breached international law, but what will happen to them, really?
World Cup child trafficking bid foil. Nigerian authorities say they have rescued 10 children who have been trafficked to China or Niger. Normal now.
We're being trafficked to Russia.
Russia, okay. What did I say, China?
Yeah.
Ethiopia assures Egypt of water supplies. We know that it's got to do with issues of the Nile and all that. And then we have SA amputee finishes marathon on crutches. And we have other stories there. Okay.
Fred, please take us to the main BBC page. We want to bring an update on the Kim Jong-un, and there's a little clip. There's a little clip that we want to play, but the two leaders held an unprecedented meeting in the grounds of a luxury hotel in Singapore. We're talking Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, the leader of the North Koreans. Yeah? Okay. So this is the first meeting, essentially ending 7 decades of hostilities, if you like. There's a little clip. Okay, if we're unable to find it, that's fine. But we still have. Oh, people are coming up with their own pictures because we know that they had was it lunch together, and they said the menu was there was American. So you could find American food there. You could find Korean food, and you could find food from Singapore as well.
Yeah.
So fortunately, there's a certain video
that we're waiting for the internet.
Yeah, but let's do some of your messages.
Let's read some of your messages. Give you
this
the
one
latest
says,
updates.
Oh, Abudu Joseph from Chifohimai. Well, thank you very much. Roland and myself, we're grateful for the comments.
Thank you.
This one says, I'm watching you guys. From Equatorial Guinea.
Wow.
Please
Equatorial
tell
Guinea.
Roland that I need the tailor who designed his African wear.
No problem at all. Alice Couture is based in Tema.
Wait. Let's do this the proper way.
The number is 02.
So he's given his number. And then,
okay.
Donko is a cook at the presidency at Equatorial Guinea.
Hey, you got money. You got money.
Roland.
And us, we have to resist money. We'll resist money, but we'll do business.
It's a privilege to be connecting with somebody who works at the presidency at Equatorial Guinea. So it's our pleasure. We'll certainly link you up with that. No. Hey. Oh, don't let Roland run you. Don't let him run you. This one says, somebody's asking us to make a check. Okay, so I'm going to read your message a bit later. Let's do the last message, and then we will link up with Benedict, who spent half of the day yesterday at the GFA and the other half at the Accra Sports Stadium.
I feel sad for Benedict.
I'm so disappointed in the four soldiers who allowed
close to
Roland. Let somebody have his say. I'm so disappointed in the four soldiers who allow themselves to be bribed by the Galamseyers. I thought soldiers were much more disciplined. This is Raphael Omane Kumasi in Kumasi sending this message, and this one says, last one, it's a sadless thing that 7 hospitals could not admit a patient because of lack of beds. Perhaps we have outnumbered the hospitals in Ghana, and maybe we are exposed to several diseases because of our unhealthy living conditions. Because the excuses for not admitting him was that all the beds were occupied. Okay, so you say we're speaking your mind. Well, thank you very much. Just include your name when you send us messages here on the show. With that said, Roland, can we say good morning? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, Benedict, you've been to Equatorial Guinea before?
Yes, I've been there before. Very nice place.
I hear the capital is Malabo. I hear it's like Regimano, Grey.
Exactly. There's something about Equatorial Guinea that I really love. You know, there are so many. No, not the women. There are so many flats there with less occupants. You know, because of their population.
What's the population of Equatorial Guinea?
The population, there won't be more than 1 million.
Wow.
I want to relocate.
Yeah, so
Accra is...
it's so nice being in Equatorial Guinea.
Yeah.
I remember when we went for the Africa Cup of Nations, it was amazing, and they pay them very well. If you have been told the amount of money they pay at the end of the month, you will leave Ghana and go to Equatorial
We'll
Guinea.
do a job search.
But how come you never told us this thing? How many years was it since you returned from Equatorial Guinea? You never said this thing about the salary.
I was in Equatorial Guinea in 2015, so it's been 3 years now.
Oh, Roland. Hey.
How come you never went back?
Oh, my God. You're a lot of work. Benedict, what are we talking about
Yes,
today?
obviously, we are talking about the GFA dissolution, government taking steps to dissolve the Football Association. And yesterday, what happened when I went out to the offices of the FA as well as the Accra Stadium. The FA, you know, the information I got yesterday in the morning was that workers have turned up at the FA despite the directive that they should stay off the premises. And then the Ghana League Clubs Association also held an emergency meeting at the Accra Stadium to look at everything that's been going on. The initial 5-member resolution committee that was set up by the executive of the Football Association yesterday turned out to be 7 by the Ghana League Clubs Association. What they did was they took some members out of the initial 5.
Some members with question marks.
Exactly. The initial 5-member committee now made it 7 with George Fee, a former vice president, and those 7 people met the sports minister Isaac Esiama. There is a new twist that today the Attorney General will file a petition in the process of you know, getting the Football Association dissolved. So that's what we're talking about.
Right.
And obviously we are building up to the World Cup. You know, we are just 2 days away. Today is Tuesday.
Yeah.
So on Wednesday, Thursday, yes, we'll get a first.
Has Nigeria arrived yet?
Yeah, they have arrived. They arrived in a very nice apparel.
Which city would they be hosted?
Well, I would have to find out that for you. But what I know is that they are in the same group with the likes of Argentina, and it looks very, very difficult. The group they are in, but with what they've been doing in terms of their preparations, trust Nigeria to make the next stage of the competition. So we look at the World Cup as well.
All right, stay with us. There's a lot more sports coming your way on the AM show.